You know you're a unique person, and a lot of that is because you have a unique brain. I know that for three incontrovertible reasons. One is your genetics, two, development, and three, your life experience. Let's look at those one at a time. Your genetics, you get half of your DNA from each parent. So it's like mixing two decks of cards. You can't tell exactly what you get. But brain researchers and psychologists have concluded that about half of your intelligence, and that's probably half of all of your brain capabilities, are genetic, meaning they come directly from the DNA of your parents. So your brain is DNA unique. What else is unique? Your brain's development. So at birth, your brain is filled with neurons, maybe most of them that you'll ever have, even as an adult. And then as you grow from newborn to 1 month, 9 months, and so on, you get more neurons, but most of the growth happens in the connections between the neurons, called synapses. That's where the learning occurs. And so that's called neuronal growth. And up until about age 2, you get more and more and more synapses. But when you were 2 years old, you had more learning potential than you ever had or will have in your life. Because starting then, and up through about age 14, half of those synapses are pruned. They are destroyed. So you lose half of your learning potential and you never regain that. Why is that? Is that awful? No, it's not. Because your brain looks to see, okay, what synapses are used a lot? And those are strengthened. But the synapses that are not used or are used very seldom are figured like, oh, those are just confusing, let's get rid of those. So you lose half of your learning potential in terms of your synapses between age 2 and teenage years, never recovered. Little things to know about your brain. The third way that we know your brain is unique is through life experience. And this wonderful image by Mirta Toledo shows the amazing diversity that we have in our lives. Different people with different families, educational wealth, community friends, language, culture. It doesn't even show the individual interests, but imagine growing up in a household where you have 3 languages being spoken. You'd automatically know maybe Mandarin and Malay English. Or a different household where it's like, my dad's in prison, mom can't find a job. All I do is go to school and work every day after school. Or somebody else on a farm. Granddad once took me from the farm to the city. Those big buildings I couldn't believe. Imagine a different family. My dad's a physicist. I love math. It makes so much sense. That's what I want to do in my life. Or somebody else. Mom's a military medic. We move around a lot. Or I live in a city, lots of street noise, but I still read a lot. Everybody has massively different life experience. That's your prior knowledge. Most new learning is built on top of that prior knowledge, right? So life experience is the third guarantee that every brain is unique. When we put these 3 differences together, we get huge brain diversity. And you might think, whoa, is that good? It's wonderful. That's what makes a team. Think of the crew of the Starship Enterprise. The last thing that anybody wants is for everybody in the crew to be the same. You want them each to have their own values and beliefs and hopes, their own goals and interests, their own mindset and how willing they are to persevere till they solve something, their self-image, their character, what their abilities are and disabilities. None of them are perfect, and they all have different readiness for willing to try something new. So it's the same thing with a sports team. Imagine a football team where you think you want everybody to be the same kind of player. Absolutely not. A fullback is not the same as a lineman or a quarterback or a running back. So it's these unique differences that are the basis for all recognition and reward. Never for just being average or meeting a standard. We expect physical differences in our class. Here's a baseball team, maybe 12-year-olds, and they all look a little bit different heights. You have a skinny one, a chubby one, some are blonde, some are dark-haired. Some are fast runners. But how about their brains? You can't see that, but there's more diversity in their brains than in their physical appearance. What you see and you think you see as important differences pale compared to the kinds of differences that are in the real world. Now, this is the world's two tallest, the tallest and shortest adult. Brain's perfectly normal. They can think, they can speak, they can plan. But imagine those kinds of extremes, but in the brain. That level of extremity and of difference for people's memories, for their social ability, for life experience, for their emotional IQ. Even within a family, the tall one is the son of the normal-sized father. Very similar genes, a little bit of a problem with hormone or genetics here, but the differences that we can see pale compared with the differences in real brains. My favorite example is Dr. Temple Grandin, diagnosed as autistic, severely autistic at age 2, but she's a world-renowned brain scientist. She's a business owner, created her own business. She's an author. One of her books is Thinking in Pictures, because that's how she thinks, not in words, but in pictures. I can't imagine that. Can you? How would you teach a child in your class who thought in pictures and who, for words, had to imagine a picture and translate it into words? In her words, I'm a visual thinker, not a language-based thinker. My brain's like Google Images. Wow. So brains are different. We know that every brain's unique, guaranteed in 3 ways: genetics, DNA, the development, the neuronal growth and pruning that happens between birth, a climax at age 2, dropping off to by age 14, and life experience, the prior knowledge upon which all new knowledge is based. Our brains are way more different person to person than bodies. Lots to think about. Wonderful diversity.